Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokan here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. We've got a thrilling lineup of today's NBA games, and I'm ready to dive deep with our predictions and insider tips. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just getting into the game, today's episode is tailored just for you. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams. Today's prediction is for the game between Los Angeles Clippers and Boston Celtics. The showdown at TD Garden is set to be a barn burner, with the Los Angeles Clippers and the Boston Celtics going head-to-head. The Celtics are tearing it up with a jaw-dropping 35-10 record, ruling their turf with a 21 home game dominance. Riding high on a wave of victories over teams like the Rockets, Mavericks, and Heat, they're dropping a hefty 120.8 points per game while keeping their defense tight, allowing 110.6 points on average. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on fire, throwing down 27 and 23 points per game respectively. Their sharpshooting skills from downtown and in the field are nothing short of spectacular, playing a big part in their recent wins. The Clippers, sitting at a solid 29-14, are no pushovers either. They've been battling it out with resilience, especially on the road, and are netting an average of 118.02 points per game. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are the backbone of the team, with Leonard averaging 22.1 points and George putting up 20.5 against the Celtics. Their three-point game is strong, hitting 40.07%, and their field goal percentage is impressive at 49.58%. But missing Ivica Zubac might shake up their rebound game, which is key against a rebound-savvy team like the Celtics. Looking back, the Celtics have had the upper hand in their turf battles with the Clippers, with the latter only snagging one win and covering the spread thrice in their last 4 Boston showdowns. But the Clippers have shown some serious moxie, covering the spread in 10 of their last 14 road games against the Celtics, and clinching 5 out of the last 6 overall. Given the Celtics' beast mode performance at home and the Clippers' uphill battle in back-to-back road games, the scales tip in favor of the Celtics holding down the fort. However, the Clippers, as formidable adversaries, might just give the Celtics a run for their money and cover the 7-point spread laid out by the odds makers. The total score is likely to duck under 235.5, given both teams' defensive chops and recent form. At home, the Celtics are the favorites, especially with their 20-1 straight-up record. But the betting line is off the charts. I'd only bet on the Celtics with this kind of spread if the Clippers decide to bench their key players post last night's game. The Clippers, emerging as top dogs, have covered 7 of their last 10 and are a force to reckon with. A spread this large with the Clippers is a rare fiend for the rest of the season. If Kawhi, George, and James are in the game, I'm all in on the Clippers beating this mammoth spread. In summary, the Celtics might clinch the win in this high-energy face-off, but the Clippers are likely to cover the 7-point spread, with the total points staying south of 235.5. It's crucial to check the injury report before placing bets. Today's prediction is for the game between Utah Jazz and Charlotte Hornets. It's game time, and all eyes are on the court for the Utah Jazz versus Charlotte Hornets showdown. The Jazz, sitting at an even 23-23, are picking up steam after the new year, shaking off a recent hiccup. Their last win against the Wizards might just be the boost they need to hit their stride. Meanwhile, the Hornets are in a bind, languishing at the Eastern Conference's lower end with a 10-32 record. They're in a slump with only 2 wins in their last 10 games and coming off a doubleheader, having squared off against the Rockets right after a defeat by Detroit. Breaking down the teams, the Jazz have some clear edges. They're like a roller coaster this season, showing they can rebound after a fall. Keep an eye on Lauri Markkanen, whose sharpshooting from downtown is key to the Jazz's recent upswing. Their solid beatdown of the Wizards, nailing 41.9% from beyond the arc, shows they know how to set the tempo and string together wins. For the Hornets, it's been a rough ride, but there are glimmers of hope. LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges are back, giving their game a much-needed lift. Yet, losing key players like Gordon Hayward to injuries and trading Terry Rozier has hit their scoring hard. To give the Jazz a run for their money, they'll need to find their groove and get Ball and Bridges firing full throttle. History tips in favor of the Jazz in this matchup, especially in recent Charlotte games. They've bagged 9 out of the last 10 meetings and 4 out of the last 5 in Charlotte, often beating the spread. Plus, the Jazz are on a roll, with an 8-2 record against the spread in their last 10 games and a strong showing against Eastern teams. On the flip side, the Hornets have been struggling in back-to-back games, winning just once in such situations. Stat-wise, the Jazz lead with a better field goal percentage, 46.77% to the Hornets' 45.90%, a stronger rebounding game, 46.53 to 41.43 rebounds per game, and sharper in assists. While the Hornets edge out slightly in three-point shooting, it might not counter the Jazz's overall savvy and the momentum they bring. The Hornets are racking up losses and struggling to hit their marks, especially after a doubleheader. The Jazz, despite a tough week, have shown solid form this month and are 28-18 against the spread this season. They've covered in 8 of their last 10 games. Betting on the Jazz seems like a no-brainer, and backing the Hornets takes more guts than most can muster. Considering both teams' current form, their head-to-head record, and the Hornets' back-to-back situation, the smart money's on the Utah Jazz not just to win, but to beat the 8 spread. The Jazz's resilience and ability to leverage their strengths, especially with a healthy lineup, starkly contrast the Hornets' ongoing struggles and injury issues. I'm placing my chips on the Utah Jazz, cruising to a smooth road victory. The next today's prediction is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Milwaukee Bucks. In the upcoming showdown between the Milwaukee Bucks and the New Orleans Pelicans, there's a lot on the line. The Pelicans, boasting a solid 31-13 record, are tearing it up on offense, dropping an average of 117.5 points per game. Their sharpshooting is on point, hitting 48.84% from the field and 38.61% from downtown. While their defense allows 112.55 points per game, it's their offensive hustle that's grabbing headlines. The Bucks, holding their own at 26-18, are lighting up the scoreboard with an astonishing 124.56 points per game. Their field goal accuracy, a notch higher at 49.88%, combined with a respectable 75% from beyond the arc, makes them a force to reckon with. But their defense, leaking 120.47 points per game, might be their Achilles heel. Both squads are hitting the court at full strength, with no injuries to report. In back-to-back games, the Bucks have the upper hand, netting 5 victories in 6 attempts, while the Pelicans are splitting even with 3 wins in 6 games. This suggests the Bucks might have the stamina and recovery edge in such tight schedules. When these two teams face off, the dynamics are always intriguing. The Pelicans have had a tough time with the Bucks, managing only 3 wins in their last 9 encounters, yet they've been solid against the spread, covering it in 6 of their last 9 games. The Bucks, while impressive with a 6-2 run in recent games, struggle to beat the spread, particularly this January and against teams from the West. The game's venue is key. With the battle set in Milwaukee, the Bucks' strong 16-4 home record is a factor. The Pelicans, despite a commendable 8-2 in their recent road games, face an uphill battle in Milwaukee, where they've clinched just 1 victory in their last 5 visits. Looking at the stats, the Bucks might have the upper hand, especially with their scoring might and home court. However, the Pelicans' knack for covering the spread and overall game can't be ignored. It seems likely the Bucks will snag the win, but the Pelicans should cover the 5.5-point spread. Expect the total points to exceed the 237.5 mark, given both teams' offensive firepower. The Bucks are often the favorites at home, but I'm leaning away from them in that role. Their defense is still lacking, and I doubt that'll change at the end of a back-to-back. Plus, they've missed covering the spread in 8 of their last 10 games. The Pelicans are loaded with talent and have been cashing in this season. I'm betting on the Pelicans to cover the spread, with total points soaring past 237.5. Keep an eye on Zion Williamson's status, though. He might be a game-time decision. The next today's prediction is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and San Antonio Spurs. In tonight's hardwood showdown, the Minnesota Timberwolves are set to square off against the San Antonio Spurs. The Timberwolves are hitting the court with a strong 32-13 record. Their offense is firing on all cylinders, racking up an impressive 113.48 points per game, backed by a sturdy defense limiting opponents to 107.77 points per game. They're shooting the lights out with a field goal percentage of 48.73% and nailing threes at a solid 38.56%. On the boards, they're beasts, grabbing 43.98 rebounds per game, asserting their dominance in the paint. On the flip side, the Spurs, holding an 8-36 record, are in a bit of a slump this season. They're managing to put up 112.80 points per game, but their defense is leaking points, allowing a hefty 122.14 points per game. Their shooting isn't as hot, with field goal and three-point percentages at 46.05% and 34.40%, respectively. They're slightly trailing the Timberwolves in the rebound game, pulling down 42.91 per game. One crucial factor tonight is the Spurs' performance in back-to-back games. They've only clinched one victory in 6 such attempts this season. This might play into tonight's game, as fatigue and less prep time could take their toll. Looking at the recent matchups in San Antonio, the Timberwolves have come out on top in 3 of the last 4 games, even beating the spread. However, the Spurs have historically had the edge over the Timberwolves in their home court, with a 13-4 record in their last 17 matchups. In terms of injuries, the Timberwolves are almost at full strength, with only Jalen Clark's participation in question. Meanwhile, the Spurs are without Trey Jones and Sidi Sissoko, which could weaken their lineup. Trend-wise, the Timberwolves are 6-2 straight up in their last 8 games, but their record against the spread is a mixed bag. The Spurs, despite a rough season, have shown grit against the spread, going 4-1 in their last 5 games. Considering these elements, the Timberwolves are the favorites with their superior record and better stats in key areas, not to mention their recent success in San Antonio. However, the Spurs have been covering the spread lately, and with the Timberwolves' shaky performance against the spread, the Spurs might just beat the plus 11-point spread set by the odds makers. The over-under is pegged at 227.5 points. Given the Timberwolves' high-scoring offense and the Spurs' defensive woes, it's likely the total points will push past the over. The Spurs are weak on defense and facing the fatigue of back-to-back games, so they might be in for a tough night. The Timberwolves have the firepower to dominate, but have shown signs of fatigue in their recent games. They seem to have hit a wall earlier than expected. With a road game against the Thunder up next, the Timberwolves have let teams stay close in their recent matches. When these two teams last met in December, the Spurs lost by just 8 points. I expect the Minnesota Timberwolves will secure the win, but my bet is on the San Antonio Spurs to cover the plus 11-point spread in a game that's likely to be a high-scoring affair, possibly exceeding the 227-point mark. The next today's prediction is for the game between Los Angeles Lakers and Golden State Warriors. Tonight's headline showdown pits the legendary Los Angeles Lakers against the formidable Golden State Warriors. As they hit the hardwood, we're in for a sizzling clash. The Lakers, boasting 24 wins and 23 losses, are set to duke it out with the Warriors, who've racked up 19 wins and 23 losses this season. When it comes to shooting the rock, the Lakers have a slight upper hand, sinking shots with a slick 49.24% field goal accuracy, nudging past the Warriors' 46.95%. This shooting prowess could be a game-changer, considering how crucial buckets are in the current hoop scene. However, the Warriors are sharpshooters from downtown with a 37.50% three-point rate, eclipsing the Lakers' 36.40%. This long-range firepower is a key weapon in today's NBA. On the glass, the Warriors dominate with 45.83 rebounds per game, out-muscling the Lakers' 43.11, hinting at their edge in snagging boards. Delving into scoring, the Lakers are dropping 115.53 points per game, while the Warriors have a slight edge with 117.95. Defensively, it's a close matchup, with the Lakers conceding 116.04 points and the Warriors a tad more at 118.40 points per game. Both teams dish out assists with similar flair, the Lakers averaging 27.98 and the Warriors 28.14, showcasing their team-oriented offense. Looking at recent form, the Lakers have been covering the spread effectively, going 4-2 in their last 6. In direct confrontations with the Warriors, they boast a commanding 7-2 record in both spread and straight-up games in their last 9 encounters. Yet the Lakers often find the going tough in the Warriors' den, holding a 6-14 record in their last 20 road games against them. The Warriors have had a mixed run lately, strong against the spread at 4-1 in their last 5, but their straight-up record is less impressive at 2-5 in the last 7. At home, they've been more formidable, holding a 7-8 record in their last 15, including notable performances against the Lakers. Injury updates reveal the Lakers missing Cam Reddish and Gabe Vincent, while the Warriors are without Chris Paul and Gary Payton, which could shake up both teams' game plans. In recent head-to-heads at Golden State, the Lakers have clinched victories and covered the spread in 2 of the last 5 clashes, hinting at their competitive spirit, even in away games. With this intense rivalry, the Warriors' home advantage, and the Lakers' recent momentum, we're set for a nail-biter. The Lakers' edge in shooting and their upper hand in recent matchups, balanced against the Warriors' struggle with Western Conference foes, slightly tips the scales in the Lakers' favor. However, their extensive injury list is a concern. Despite the Lakers' tendency to falter after a big win, like their recent victory over the Bulls, the Warriors have shown grit in critical games. The Lakers have had the upper hand over the Warriors in recent seasons, but their reliability, especially on the road and against strong teams or with key players sidelined, is questionable. Expect an offensive fireworks display, with the total likely soaring past 237.5 points. My prediction: the Golden State Warriors will emerge victorious and cover the spread. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Sacramento Kings and Dallas Mavericks. Get ready for a high-octane showdown at the American Airlines Center, where the Sacramento Kings, boasting a solid 25-18 record, are gearing up to battle the Dallas Mavericks, hot on their heels with a 24-20 record. This showdown is shaping up to be a cliffhanger, especially with the recent form and momentum of both squads. The Kings, buzzing with confidence, have been trading wins and losses, but have displayed serious grit, recently edging out a victory over the Warriors. Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox have been the linchpins in their recent upswing, with Barnes lighting up the scoreboard with a whopping 39 points in their latest outing. The Kings pack a hefty punch offensively, averaging 118.7 points with a 47.8% field goal efficiency, and they're lethal from downtown too, sinking 37.3% of their triples. The Mavericks, meanwhile, have been on a bit of a thrill ride, dropping 4 of their last 6. Yet, they're coming in hot off a win, thanks in large part to Luka Doncic's staggering 73-point explosion against the Hawks. The Mavs are putting up 118.1 points on a 47.1% shooting clip, with Doncic spearheading the assault, flanked by Kyrie Irving and Tim Hardaway Jr. Their three-point game is strong too, netting 36.9%, just a shade below the Kings. Defensively, both teams have room for tightening up, with the Kings conceding 118.1 points per game and the Mavs a close 117.8. The rebound battle is key, with the Kings grabbing 43.5 boards a game, outdoing the Mavs 41.8. In recent matchups, the Kings have a slight upper hand, clinching 2 of their last 3 face-offs against the Mavericks. But the Mavs' home court prowess adds an extra layer of suspense to this duel. Injury updates could be a game-changer here. The Kings might be without Sasha Vezenkov, while the Mavericks are missing heavy hitters like Kyrie Irving, Dwight Powell, and Maxi Kleber. These gaps could swing the odds in favor of the Kings. Looking at the trends, the Kings are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 matchups with the Mavericks, and 6-2 on the road. The Mavericks, though, have been shaky against the spread, going 2-4 in their recent games. Factoring in the Mavericks' current form, the absence of their key players, and the head-to-head history, the Kings might seem to have a slight edge. But, with the Mavericks playing on their turf, and Luka Doncic in fine form, the scales might tip towards Dallas. The Kings come in more rested, and have won 2 of their last 3 against the Mavericks, but that's about all in their favor. The Mavericks, led by the phenomenal Luka Doncic, who's coming off a 73-point masterpiece, are the team to watch. If Kyrie joins the fray, expect the Mavericks to clinch this outright. Given the offensive firepower and defensive gaps on both sides, it wouldn't be surprising to see the total points soar past the 240.5 mark. My money's on the Dallas Mavericks to beat the spread.